Well guys, welcome back to my YouTube finally. I know it's been long overdue and possibly some of you may have been waiting. Obviously I said I was going to start a series, which I did episode 1 about 20 weeks ago, and unfortunately with the depths of prep and work and a cameraman letting me down, I kind of just put this to one side and was just kind of more focused on actually doing the work. But I suppose here we are now. I'm 2 weeks out from my first show, which is the Two Bros RAISTRICK Royal Rumble in Maidenhead, and I'm 4 weeks out from the Arnold UK, and obviously the main show for me this year is the RAISTRICK in Limerick, which is 8 weeks away. So yeah, I'm just going to keep this a bit raw and real, so excuse the prep brain, and if I mess up a few words. It's about, what is it now, it's 7:30 in the morning here, Saturday morning, the what day is it today, the 27th. So I'm just actually recording this, and then I have to go down and do 45 minutes cardio. And yeah, so basically just to give you an update, some of you may have been watching James, if you're watching this, I'm sure you're definitely watching James Hollingshead's videos. And it's funny, I've been really enjoying them over the last few weeks, doing cardio and during prep, and it's kind of like, this is something I said I would do when my cameraman let me down. I said I just record my own stuff and edit it, but you know yourself, anyone who's into YouTube and editing videos knows it takes a lot of time, and when you're running a business, and me and Karen are in the middle of trying to get our house and planning permission sorted now, and messing back and forth with architects, and obviously the main focus for me, I never was one for social media properly anyway, and to me I love bodybuilding for bodybuilding, which is the training and the actual process. So when I kind of go into prep mode, I go into prep mode, and I have my routine, and then trying to like actually record and do stuff in between can get a little bit can be hard to find the time. But now I'm kind of like no, I just need to do this now. I obviously put all up on my story during the week on Instagram, and a lot of you guys seem to be interested, so I might as well just put some content out there. And ideally I'd like to kind of get this first show under my belt and then start putting out a little bit more, and kind of giving a little bit of insight, because for me, obviously I was starting the off season, or I was starting prep at my heaviest ever weight. Obviously was coming into it feeling really good, and I suppose as I started to come down, I actually started to feel shit, and was a lot of self-doubt came in. So that's probably another real reason I didn't actually video or record much stuff, because it's funny, obviously I'm about 19 months post accident. Obviously I made a great recovery, which I'm still in the process of recovering now, but I suppose realistically, as I was coming down, the legs that I was worried about, because obviously my legs were my strongest point in my last shows, as everyone would know here in Ireland. And for me now in this prep, it's actually kind of been a bit of a role reversal. My upper has now kind of probably surpassed my lower half, in the sense of because of the fallback of the accident. So as you can imagine, Callum was very conscious, and we obviously were on a steady rate of loss the whole way through prep, but the whole part of prep really was to try and make sure that the legs held. And even for me, when I think of prep, when I think of dieting for a show and cardio, I think of the Stairmaster. And believe it or not, after like a few weeks of doing that in a slight deficit, my legs started to just go, and that's when it was really starting to fuck with my head a little bit. So I was kind of like, right, we need to switch to the cross trainer. We just need to be a bit conscious here, and obviously we set ourselves with plenty of time to be ready, because I actually just wanted to do the RAISTRICK this year, but Callum says no, you're doing Two Bros, you're doing Arnold, you're getting your name out there this year, and we'll use this then as a stepping stone, as a kind of trajectory point to push forward into next year. And at least the judges get to know me, I get my name out in the circuit and kind of see where I am in the mix. And obviously I was coming down hard. I got up to 125, 126 kilos in the off season, and was probably full sure to start that prep. Didn't seem too fat, but looking back I was pretty fat, but not fat in the sense of compared to previous off seasons. But we were still sure and confident that we'd be on the lower end of the super heavyweights. And the more we've been pushing now the last while, we've been right on the cusp. And I just haven't been fully, I'm not fully there to be a proper super heavyweight. There's no point coming in over the 102 kilos and being maybe in around the 104, 105 bracket, but not being fully conditioned. And that's where we just had to make the decision, which wasn't really much of a decision, was just to keep pushing. And the weight this morning now was 99.6 kg. So, and I think we've been steadily coming down to about 102, 103 up until, well, 103-ish, say 2 weeks ago. And then we had a big drop off to 101. We refed last week, which brought me back up just under 105. But then we're like, Callum's like, right, now we know where the body is. We can see there's more in the glutes and the lower back. So we need to push now. We need to push. So technically this week is called Hell Week. And a few have been asking, what has Hell Week been? Basically for me, it's just been increased output. My steps are up to about 14,000 now at the minute. Cardio's increased to 45 minutes 5 days a week, which obviously might not seem like a lot to some people, but in terms of the training is 2 days on, 1 day off, and my cardio at the start of prep was only 20 minutes, so it's been steadily increasing. And with the steps, and my calories are fucking right down for me now. Obviously I was like 6,500 at the height of the off season, and now I'm just over 2,200 roughly. 2.4 I think on a train day, and about 2,170 or 2,200 on a rest day. So very low carb. Today is a rest day. I think I have about 80 grams of carbs or 60 grams of carbs today. So if you add up my output, my Oura ring is actually telling me that I'm burning roughly about 4,500 calories a day with the steps, the cardio, and then obviously my food is only 2,000. So I'm basically in that much of a hole now at the minute, just to get this condition through and bring out these glutes and lower back. Obviously I'm very happy with the point I'm at in terms of the RAISTRICK, and now we're just trying to dig this last bit of detail to see if we can get 90-95% there for these shows over the next few weeks, which I'm confident enough we will. But I just want to get up there and be in the mix and kind of stand and be be looked at. I'd have no real expectation. This is my first time going into the UK, and I know myself I'm not happy with how my quads are looking, and my legs overall. I think I'm a lot more balanced, but the detail is going to be there, condition is going to be there. My waist is probably smaller than it's ever been before. My abs, obliques are all there as well, so I'm really excited about that. But for me, leg training is what I think of when I think of bodybuilding, and that's kind of where I got to where I was over the last while. So it's obviously been a complete mindfuck the last while, and obviously the flatter I'm getting now into this Hell Week. We've dropped off 5 kilos since last Sunday, so 104.6 last Sunday morning. Now it's Saturday morning, I'm down to 99.6, and we're probably going to push for another 2 to 3 days at least. Then we'll probably top up and maybe do a mock peak, and then suck it down before we actually do the proper secondary mock peak then for the first show. So yeah, I'm really excited. Obviously a little bit nervous in the sense of, because I want to show my best, and like as much as I can't put too much pressure on myself. Like that's the type of person I am. I'm going to put that added pressure on myself to be my best, and like it's always going to be in the back of my mind, knowing that okay, what I could have been, what if this never happened. But I can't dwell on the past now, and that's what I've just been trying to focus on, the positives, and there's loads. And obviously Callum has been a great help, and is obviously a very good eye, and I know when some carbs go in there, the legs do come back to life, and we do look quite balanced overall. And that's why it's probably better that I am actually in the heavyweights as well, because there would be no point me at the lower end of the supers without them dense, thick 3D quads that I'm going to need. So, but the exciting thing for me is over the last couple of months I've moved to AKA HQ in Naas with Alan Kelly, and Alan Kelly has been a breath of fresh air in terms of what he's doing for me training wise. He's a second eye, and he's really homed in on my leg training. We've kind of brought it back completely to the bare minimum, kind of very kind of unorthodox training styles for me in terms of types of exercises and load, but it's really starting to work, and my knees feel absolutely brilliant, the best they ever have felt, and I'm excited now to kind of move this and transition this into the off season, because I know Alan will help these legs grow, and I know now, I'm confident I can get them back. So that's probably what I'm most excited for after all this. But obviously I've shows to do in the meantime, and I'm working hard for him. And obviously the UK, I'm just excited to get over there and stand up and get back on stage and see where I am and what I need to do over the next while to be competitive, and obviously to push on from this and actually come back a legit super heavyweight. So it's a nice stepping stone. I'm actually happy that, as I said, I'm landing in the mix of the heavyweights. There's going to be some serious competitors over here, so it's going to be nice to be in the mix and just see where I am. So that's really exciting now. So I suppose the plan over the next few days is to push hard, and then obviously do this mock peak and see bring the physique back to life and see exactly where we're at and where we need to go from there. So as I was saying, yeah, the biggest, I suppose, head fuck for me was the legs this time round, and like now I'm starting to kind of grasp it and knowing that I'm going to be able to get them back after the show, which is very relieving for me as well. So I'm focused on that a lot as well, and obviously in terms of what's kind of the issue for me is I have a lot of atrophy around the knee, and my knees are still slightly I suppose inflamed. There's a lot of scar tissue there, so it's kind of throwing off the aesthetics of the quad. It's making the sweep look a little bit less. The sweep looks like it's kind of moved up slightly on the quad, and the VMO is kind of nearly looks like it's set back in a small bit. But in saying that, the detail is coming through now and the shape is all there. So I'm hoping it won't be too kind of noticeable on stage, and maybe that for any people who actually don't know me might not think I even really had an injury. They might just say, like, yeah, his legs are decent, but they could be bigger possibly, you know, kind of way. But look, I'm not really going to know until I kind of properly fill out and see where we are. So I'm excited for that, and excited now just to keep pushing and digging for the detail, because it's really started to come over the last few days. And I still have to drop GH in your Himbine, which is being pulled tomorrow. So I know there's going to be a big drop in fluid as well, and I can see that I'm flat. And sometimes you're in that stage where you feel like you're skinny, flat, and that's kind of the way I am at the minute this week. But there's some new detail coming through, so I know from previous refeeds over the last couple of weeks, I know when my physique comes back to life, the extra detail comes through. And I think after this kind of hell week, that when I push forward, it's going to be really exciting to see where I am next week. So I might give some updates on Instagram next week and post a few pictures or a reel. Obviously I've been very quiet, and sometimes I'll do that. Obviously if you know, if you're not confident in yourself and you're not exactly fully liking how you look, you're not gonna post it. Let's face it, everyone posts a picture of themselves when they feel or actually like how they look, although they might say, oh, being fully transparent here, and they might not say they like it, but you're not going to post shit pictures of yourself most of the time. And for me, I like being real, but then again I like portraying myself in when I feel good and how I feel about myself as well. So I'm kind of waiting to see how we land next week, and I'll give an update then. And it's always just one of them things as well, when I'm in prep, I kind of like the surprise factor as well. I think a lot of guys post pictures every day, and then when you get to see them on stage, you kind of know what you already know what they look like, and you don't get that wow factor. And sometimes like, just even think back to the Dorian Yates days, where he used to like disappear for a year and come back and shock everyone. And for me, I suppose, coming back from the accident, I kind of want to give that slight wow factor as well, especially here in Ireland. And that's why obviously my main focus is on the RAISTRICK. And I'm really excited for that show, because I think it's just probably going to be one of the most stacked nationals in a long time. Obviously last year suffered a bit with the nationals, and a good friend Paul Hannigan won that, and he's competing again this year as well, and has even made massive improvements. So I'm going to be excited to be in the mix there, and hopefully we all do well. John O'Donnell as well is probably going to be in the under 80s, and then there's Robert here from Portlaoise as well, a Polish guy who's a very good heavyweight as well, and there's probably a few other guys. So the standard of this national is going to be very good, and I'm excited to see how I kind of fare out and what happens this year. So it's getting close now. and all I've got to do now is really just kind of push on. And as I said, I'll try bring a little bit more context and a little bit more insight as we go along with a few more little vlogs like this. So maybe post-show updates, maybe some insight into the carb up and stuff like that. So don't be afraid to kind of message me on Instagram, or actual just reach out to me on YouTube and comment and see what you want to see, and I'll be happy to share, because look, this is all new to me. Even talking to this camera here is new for me as well. I'm only getting used to it, so whatever feedback I can get is all the better, and is good feedback for me. So yeah, when I put up that story as well, I had a few questions, and people dropped a few things they actually want to see or wanted me to kind of touch on. And obviously I'm not going to touch on everything in this video. I'm going to keep this quite short, but just to kind of touch on some of the stuff that was asked. Someone asked, go through what Hell Week consists of, which I kind of touched on there for me, which is just basically increased output, food pulled right down, and basically just digging as hard as we can to bring out the last bit of detail and just try to get off this last bit of fat on the lower back and the glutes, where it's kind of seems to be holding on me the most, and probably my stubborn areas. Because even if I look back at my previous shows, when I won the novice in the RBBF in 2015, I think that was probably the one time I had properly shredded glutes. I also did NABA that year as well, and I was definitely my best conditioned ever. But since then I was moving up to the heavyweights, put on a lot of new muscle quick, and never properly brought through that definition from the back. My hamstrings are always good, but the lower back and glutes. So that's the big thing for me this year, is to bring that level of detail through. So Hell Week really is just pushing down in order to get that and dig out them details. Shane Cullen, IFBB Pro, show us your cooking skills. I will bring up a cooking video next just for you, bud, and I'll probably touch on maybe part of that as the carb up or something like that. So maybe that's what I'll aim to show in the next video. Because even like, I don't know if you're watching James Hollingshead there at the minute, he's showing his refeeds and kind of showing what he's eating, and I've just been thoroughly enjoying him this prep as well. I don't know if it's because I'm fucking so hungry as well myself, but you know what we all get like him when we're on prep. Pierce Johnson, shout out to him as well, who's obviously sponsored by Strom 2, who's competing at the Two Bros as a warm-up and at the Arnold, and that guy has a very good chance of turning pro this year. So yeah, shout out to you, man. And a day in life I will record it over the next while as well, don't worry. Shane Furlong, ability to cope in a deficit. I suppose, look, there is no, you just have to suck it up really. You're kind of saying, why are you doing this? And look, I actually don't mind being in the hole. It's the mind fucking thing really is actually sucking down and thinking that you're losing all your gains. That's the hardest thing. I don't mind. I will eat dog shit if I know it's going to get me to my goals, or I'm going to be in a deficit. I can deal with the hunger. I can deal with pushing on because I have a goal in mind, and I have a look I want to see on stage. And that's a big thing as well, between like Brian Ward's talking about it and James Hollingshead. That look, we can only focus on ourselves, bring the best version of you, and obviously we all have a certain look we have in mind we want to bring to stage, and like that's what I want to bring. I want to bring that look, and will it be good enough on a day? Who knows? But once you can bring your best, and you know when you stand on stage you've brought your best. If you get bet by someone better than you, that's bodybuilding. It's subjective at the end of the day, but at the end of the day I want to know that when I step out there I like how I look and I can look my best, and that's what I'm focusing on this year. And then the result is secondary. So that's a big thing that's kind of instilled in my head over the last couple of months as well. How you plan your prep and get yourself motivated for it. I suppose realistically I have a coach, and I'm motivated for it because this is like secondary to my business and my life with Karen and everything. Bodybuilding is a hobby, but it's technically my life. My whole life is revolved around this, and I fucking love it. So I don't really need to motivate myself, and obviously you can't be motivated every single day. So you're going to have to focus on discipline. You're going to have to like get up in the morning, keep your routine, keep your structure, and that will just structure your day. And in terms then of, it's just how bad do you want it. Discipline comes in then, because you can't always be, some days I'm like, oh, I don't even want to train today, but then I'm like, no, I want to have a certain look to be on stage. Do I want to get there? Yes. So you just have to do it, and it's simple as that, really. And Ian Byrne, poop on prep. Obviously, when I put up the story, I was taking a shit. And we all know, we can probably relate, poops on prep when you're low carb. You could be in there for 20 minutes and they're more like fecking Maltesers at this stage. So I hope that answers your question, Ian. But yeah, stay tuned for more videos, and I promise I'll try keep it more regular. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And I said, if there's any feedback or anything else you want from me, let me know on Instagram. And yeah, Strong Ireland, get your supplements from there. Anyone, use Juggernaut 10 at checkout, and then Gasp as well, McGee 15 at the checkout. I think there's a summer sale still on this weekend as well, so I know there's a lot of new stock coming in the next few weeks, including a flannel old school shirt, so keep an eye out for that as well. Hopefully I'm going to get my hands on it early, and I'll put up a post about it as well. But yeah, any other questions, guys, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.